Welcome back, folks, to Path to Recovery Podcast, episode 12. Today we're talking about why do we feel alone? Now, this podcast is something I pre-recorded for one of my other podcast channels called Cognitive Awareness with a Touch of God. So I'm going to just let you listen in on this one as you progress during your path to recovery. So what is actually behind the feeling of being alone? There's a lot of emotional connection with it. Feeling alone is not really a fear of being without. It's more like a fear of being within. The fear of finding the truth behind it. And every situation and every struggle that we have is always internal. It's something deep within us, in our belief system. Alone is actually an emotion driven by the human desire to be attached to someone or to something. And that's in place of being happy within ourselves. An attachment is where the alone feeling comes from. There's 3 levels of attachment, folks. Attached, detached, and non-attachment. So how do you define the 3 forms of attachment? I'll try and make it simple. So being attached is a feeling of need. Yes, it might get a little deeper than that, but just for simplicity's sake, we just got to know that being attached is a feeling of need. It's something that we believe that we need in order to be happy, instead of finding that happiness within ourselves. Some examples would be like relationships, repetitive relationships, animals, pets. We tend to get attached to these animals. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying we tend to get attached to our animals, our pets. And when they pass on, it just destroys us. How about food? Attachments to food. I love the taste of food and I love eating food. But if I have a food addiction, then I'm extremely attached to food. And of course, attachment to drugs, cars, stuff, houses, toys. Those are examples of attachments. Being detached is almost like the opposite spectrum. It's kind of saying, I don't want any of those connections. I don't want to have emotions into anything. I want to be without it completely, which is a little extreme. It's basically meaning that we're going to leave it all behind and let none of it be connected to us anymore. Almost like it's emotionless. Some examples would be like never talking to a friend after you had an argument with them, or if your pet dies, you feel no loss. Instead of excessive amount of loss, like being attached to it, being detached means that, whatever, it's just an animal, who cares? Boom, out it goes. Let me throw it out in the backyard, let the wolves come over and take care of it. Or living like a monk with no material things at all. I'm going to just stay away from everything. I'm never going to be attached to anything. So I'm just going to go up on this hill in the cold snow. I'm going to dig a hole and that's where I'm going to stay because I'm not going to get attached to anything. So folks, that's the opposite spectrum. Now the one in the middle is called being non-attached or non-attachment. It's basically a feeling of heartfelt disconnection with loving intentions. It's kind of like saying we're going to have a divorce. It's going to be cordial and both of us are happy about it. And that when the divorce is final, we kind of give each other a hug. And, years after, we're still calling each other up because we know we've experienced a beautiful thing together, but we just couldn't stay together. How about leaving a job that you cared about for a new opportunity? That's a pretty tough one for some people because they get attached to the people that are in there. But maybe the job was something that was fulfilling. However, they know they have a new opportunity that might be even more fulfilling. So it's okay to just leave the job, but you got to have some sort of connection to it, but not being attached to it. How about letting go of family members so that they themselves can heal and not drag you down with them? Because they're in your face all the time, it's harder for you to actually let go and to create a non-attachment. I love you. I care about you, but I can no longer help you. And I am not going to enable you. I'm not going to be your safety net. I have to be happy with me, so I can't have you bring me down anymore. How about letting a relationship end with no ill will? That's not just husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. We're talking friendships. Can you do that? Can you let somebody go and not feel a desire to social media them? Oh, this person's such and they're such and such. Can you just let go of somebody and continue to feel the love for each other without being abusive to each other? That's the concept of non-attachment. Now, our belief that we need something outside ourselves to be happy kind of devalues our feelings towards ourselves. It's essentially going to belittle our attempts at being happy within. We want to be happy, but if we need something else, then that means we're really not happy. And we're not happy with who we are. We can be happy and still let go of things. And having things are merely masks to cover up our true unhappiness. Having an addiction is a deeper form of being attached. When we blame our lack of happiness, our terrible life on the addiction we have or on what the addiction does to us, then that shows us that we are in an attached state to that drug or that addiction. Practice becoming non-attached by evaluating where your inner happiness is so that you can no longer feel the aloneness. I'll give you some examples. In your heart of hearts, are you actually able to love yourself for who you are on the inside and not what you are on the outside? This is pretty important, folks, because we tend to show off how we look rather than how we feel. For the most part, it's because we're not ready to share the feelings, or we don't know how to share the feelings, and we might not even know how we feel. So it's hard for us to do that. So we cover it up with mascara, we cover it up with cleavage and ripped abs. Look at my new hairstyle, look at my face and how my face looks beautiful. We're covering things up. We're using the outside to hide from the inside. Now here's the thing, can you survive without your significant other? Can you survive for an hour without them? Whether it's your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it may be, your partner, your best friend. I mean, can you handle dealing with life, coping with life for just an hour? If you can do an hour, can you do two? Think about it this way, folks. If people are at work and we are at work, or even at home, they are at work, we're without them for as long as they are at work. When they come back, then we're with them. So that means on a typical job, you're working 8 hours and you're capable of handling 8 hours of being alone. Maybe you're not fully capable yet, but inside those 8 hours, I guarantee you probably had at least 1 hour where you could handle it. And if you can do 8 hours, then maybe you can do one day. When it comes easy, try it for a week. Try it for a month. The concept is you can still have that person in your life, but not be so attached to them that it affects how you behave. Do you tend to judge yourself while you look in the mirror? Are you looking at yourself and just being unhappy with what you look like? Again, folks, I already talked about it. Happiness will never come from anything outside of us. It has to come from within. Our happiness that we love who we are, not what we see in that mirror. Do you judge yourself for your behaviors during the day? At the end of the day, are you questioning, oh, I was such a jerk, I was such an idiot. I can't believe I did that. Why was I thinking that? Why did I tell that person something? Why didn't I just do this, that, or the other thing? Do you judge yourself for those behaviors? Here's another one. Do you value your things because they give you some sense of ownership? Ha, I've got another car. I've got another car. Or is it more like, you know what? Yeah, I have to have a car. I need to get from point A to point B, so I'm not going to care what kind of car it is as long as it's a good running car and I can get there. Or maybe I have 5 ATVs and dirt bikes and, 6 dogs, 5 horses. Things do not give us the happiness. How about, are you able to see your pet for what it is? Like a loving, nurturing soul that keeps you company, and that if it does pass, that you're going to be okay without it? Or are you so attached to that animal that if it dies, you're going to have a service, and you're going to buy a casket, and you're going to have a reception? How attached are you exactly to your pet? And on that note, can you actually mourn for someone or something that you've lost and not hold on to the pain of that for years? Can you let it go? So all of those examples were just letting you know that as humans, we tend to attach ourselves to outside influences instead of being connected within. We seem to not trust ourselves to be loving to ourselves, as if outside influences will know how to love us better than we do. This is where addictions and addictive behaviors come in. We tend to dismantle our inner love and find drugs, alcohol, people, pets, toys becoming our new love. It's safer that way. So the more we attach to something outside of us, the harder it's going to be to let it go. We have to develop skills to be able to maintain a non-attachment level in something. We forget that when we finally let go of our latest attachments, that we don't say, good job, nice, way to go, all right. But we tend to tell ourselves, man, we should have done that a long time ago. The amount of relief that comes with letting something go is astronomical compared to what grief you pull with it. The saying, if you love it, let it go, doesn't mean be miserable about it. It doesn't mean suffer through the pain and anguish of not having it anymore. You have no idea how wonderful your life will be after you let something go. And it's up to us to try and get to those places. So why do we feel alone, folks? Something inside of us is not happy with who we are. We have to be sure and make sure that we can be happy with ourselves, because no resource or outlet outside of us will make us happy or give us true happiness. Thank you very much, folks. I'm looking forward to talking to you again on the next podcast. We're going to be talking about what is abuse. Not necessarily the definition as far as dictionaries are concerned, but in situations in our lives. What is abuse? All right, folks. Thank you very much. God bless you. We thank you for listening, and we hope to hear from you again next time.